isn't a problem, or they don't like it, but what are we gonna do? I think they need to wake up a little bit more and understand that this is a very, very real threat. How can conservatives win elections if we can't even talk about our ideas without being banned?
Well, I've been honest and open with the fact that I'm legitimately considering my legal options with Facebook, despite the fact that my account was restored. At a certain point, there's going to have to be a David that stands up to the Goliath. And looking at this document and seeing that that they're telling these people to actively investigate me or try to find something, there is absolutely zero reason that I would be on this list. There's nothing that I have posted on Facebook that has been controversial. I actually barely use Facebook. It's the last platform that I use. I'm very active on Twitter. I don't actually use Facebook. And when I do, it's usually clips that are spliced up from these conversations. So for them to put me on a list of someone to explore and to investigate and to find a reason to get rid of is purely because they are afraid of the awakening that's taking place in the minority community, because the Black vote is something that the left depends on every election cycle. And more Black Americans are waking up, putting up videos, talking about Brexit, talking about freedom, and talking about actual political discussions as opposed to the color of their skin. And I think that at a certain point, conservatives are going to have to get together and decide, how do we work together to deal with this threat?
Yeah, I think something definitely needs to be done. And anytime I make a video talking about this issue, I get so many comments of like this, people are outraged and they want to do something, but they don't know what. And it is one of those issues where it's like, okay, well, if you're one of those people who say, I'm just going to delete all my social media platforms, I really don't think removing conservative voices from the public discourse is the answer.
I agree with you.
Right? It's like I get wanting to give these platforms the middle finger, but at the end of the day, if it ends up with you silencing yourself, I don't think that's the right way to go.
I love that. You've silenced yourself.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I do see a lot of people employing that as a strategy. Well, I just deleted my account. So you're actually allowing them to create
this is exactly what they
fake
want.
Reality. Yeah. They want to be able to mock up a reality where only the left's voices ring. And that's wrong. And we can't. I'm always going to be on those platforms because I'm trying to change minds, not create an echo chamber of conservative thought. I want to be able to go on a platform where there's leftist thought and disrupt it with conservative thought and insert an actual intellectual debate. And you're exactly right. Removing yourself from those platforms does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's actually what they're trying to get conservatives to do.
Right.
And if we're living in a time where it's like the majority of millennials get their information from online sites or social media platforms, we cannot afford to not be on these platforms. We just can't. And I mean, they're very clever, right? The people who are in charge of this thing, like, it's smart. It's totally evil, Machiavellian 1984, but it could be very, very effective if they get away with it. And I mean, in terms of lawsuits, I'm sure that if you do end up going forward, or I don't know, PragerU's trying to fight back against YouTube, I think there's a lot of people who are conservative and who are feeling silence that want to support that kind of thing.
Right. I just want to make them go through discovery.
Yeah.
Who are you working with? Who is telling you who to go after? Who are you in lockstep with? What's going on behind the scenes? And that is the beauty of a lawsuit, is that it puts people up for discovery. And I think we would be mortified if we found out what sorts of meetings were being held at Facebook or at Instagram, and in terms of how they're determining who to ban first and why. I think we would see that it is political, and I would be not shocked at all if this was some operative arm of the DNC. That is just my honest opinion. Don't know. It's not a fact yet, but that is my inclination here, is that this is a direct response to Trump. All of this is happening because of Trump, which would mean that it would have to be the left and their political organizations that are standing behind this.
No, I mean, considering how we know for a fact that, mainstream media is working in conjunction with the DNC, I don't think it's ridiculous to think that social media would be the same.
Right.
I really don't. And I think what they're doing is that they're starting this now, and things are gonna get ramped up leading up to 2020, right? I mean, I think right now the people who may be like liable to be banned next might be actually you from all platforms, someone like Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec. They're gonna get closer and closer to people in the center. In the hopes that it's kind of like the frog being boiled in water, right? If you do it slowly, no one's going to freak out. We start with Alex Jones, like you said, and then we kind of work our way up. And eventually people are just going to get, kind of just desensitized. So like, oh, this person's gone. Oh, this person's gone. And we'll just be complacent.
Right. And so did you do a video, or what is your opinion on beyond social media? We're seeing Laura Loomer, who I disagree with. I disagree with her tactics. I don't think that it serves or helps a conservative cause if someone's chaining themselves to Twitter. What are you thinking about knowing, though, that her consequence, her punishment for that is that now she's banned from Venmo, she's banned from Uber, she's banned from Lyft, she's banned from PayPal, she's banned from Chase Bank, she's banned. And I'm looking at all this and I'm thinking, is this a normal? Does this punishment fit the crime?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
has she killed anyone? And by the way, if you do kill someone, you will not be banned from Chase Bank.
Right. I mean, I don't think, as far as I know, there's never been anything where like a convicted murderer has gotten out or a convicted robber has gotten out and social media said, actually, you're a bad person, you can't use this. As far as I know, that treatment is reserved for conservatives.
Right. How bizarre is that?
It's really weird. And I'm in the same boat as you. I don't want to have the idea of like showing up outside of people's houses normalized. I really don't like that. But at the same time, if we look at Laura Loomer, I think we've seen very clearly that her tactics have had to get, more bold, more out there to draw on that media attention, the more she's been banned. Because what's happened is that this is someone who is like a journalist, an activist who's trying to get a message out there, and her audience has been taken away from her. So now in order to get trending, in order to make headlines, in order to make people notice her, she has to go more and more out of her way to do something that's going to grab people's attention. If she was able to just use, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook like a normal person, I think she would have an outlet that would allow her to share her views without having to resort to this kind of thing. So I think very much we are seeing this is actually increasing. I guess I don't want to use the word radicalization because I don't like Laura Loomer is not a radical and that's the point we're trying to make. But I think this is it's increasing I guess the tactics people are willing to go through in order to make their point, which is not what we want.
And the question becomes if Paul Joseph Watson can't have a Facebook, if people like Paul Joseph Watson can't have a Facebook, if Laura Loomer can't bank at Chase, why can rapists and murderers? Because they can. Yeah. Right? They get out of prison. If you raped someone and you get out of prison, you can bank. You can
go to Facebook.
You can
open
go on
an account.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You can so what is the difference here? What is the difference? Where do we draw the line?
Well, I think the difference is that I really don't think, if a rapist is using Twitter that they're going to kind of convince other people that rape is okay.
Right.
But I think the way that Facebook and Twitter are looking at it is that if you have a conservative who's on Twitter, they may convince other people that being conservative is okay.
Right.
So I think they're looking at it like this disease or this infection that needs to be cauterized so it doesn't spread anymore.
Right.
And, for your actual criminals, like, I don't think they're as worried about that.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's right. They view conservatism as a cancer and as a disease and that they have to stop by any means and that they need to quarantine.
Yeah. And that's what the whole guilty by association thing. That's why that comes into it because you can't talk to Dave Rubin if Dave Rubin has also spoken to like Mike Cernovich, then you're gonna catch it.
Right, you're gonna catch it. Your children's going to catch conservatism. They might believe in biology, right?
Awful.
They might believe in mathematics, right? They might believe in taking a shower and working hard and embracing their futures and not seeing themselves as a victim. God forbid, right?
And actually, there's a really interesting study that's I forget where it came from exactly, but they've actually shown that conservatives are better able to represent liberal viewpoints than vice versa. Right? Because so conservatives understand liberals more than liberals understand conservatives.
Well, liberals don't understand themselves.
Right.
So I mean, you're trying to get them to understand an entire group of people when they don't really understand themselves, and and that's why you're seeing so much implosion, and you're seeing the intersectionality, and you're seeing things that don't make sense. They're eating themselves alive. I mean, I was just talking to someone about even the lesbian thing. Michael Knowles said that if trans is real, then gay doesn't exist, right? If you're saying that there's no such thing as genders, there's no such thing as sex, and you can pick and choose whenever you want, then there's no such thing as gay.
Right.
Because that's a male.
No, that is an argument that they're making, that if you refuse to date someone who is trans and who hasn't had, bottom surgery, that is being transphobic. So it is transphobic for a lesbian woman to say, I don't want to date someone with a penis.
Right. Up is down.
Yeah. I mean, like, aren't you guys the ones who are supposed to be all like, born this way? This is my preference, my choice. Don't try to change me. Because, I mean, we're kind of seeing what almost looks like conversion therapy being advocated for people who aren't attracted to trans people.
I know.
Or like gender non-binary, non-conforming people.
Yeah, there's something wrong with people that understand basic biology. Yeah.